Whatever his plan for Jared Gordon was is not going to work against someone like Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira. All three of those guys, other than maybe Justin Gaethje, on the ground would mop the fucking floor with him. That dude wouldn't. He would be so gassed out, he probably wouldn't even want to come back to the fucking UFC. What the fuck is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the Kevin Hoop Show. If you guys are new here, do not forget to hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate when you guys do hit that button. You know, it just makes me feel all good inside. Makes me feel like we're growing a little bit slowly but surely. Without further ado, though, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this fucking video. And if you guys have been living under a rock lately, if you haven't been paying attention to what's happening in the UFC, what's happening with UFC fighters right now, Paddy Pimblett has basically made a 180 quicker than Kanye has. And the reason I'm saying this is a lot of people obviously liked Paddy Pimblett before his recent fight. Now, he just had a fight with Jared Gordon this past Saturday. I made a reaction to that right afterwards, which I honestly thought Paddy Pimblett got absolutely destroyed, but that was just my first take. I then made another video, I think I uploaded on Wednesday, kind of rethinking it. I actually rewatched the entire fucking fight, and I actually got a little bit of comments, you know, and I know I'm not the biggest channel, but even if I get some negative comments, I'm a little surprised. If I'm getting negative comments, though, then I definitely know that the mainstream fan base is starting to react a certain way. I do think that Paddy Pimblett is having that change of fan base, and a big reason I think that might be happening is the whole entire Ariel Helwani versus Paddy Pimblett beef. And I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with this as well, but Paddy Pimblett did an interview with Ariel Helwani, or was asked by Ariel Helwani to come on to the MMA Hour and do an hour with him. I know Ariel Helwani, there was a lot of back and forth and he said, she said, but the big thing that I got out of this is when True Geordie actually came out. And if you guys don't know who he is, he's a UK podcaster. He does a lot of podcasts and interviews in the UK. He actually came out recently this past week and said something along the lines of, Paddy Pimblett actually came to me and asked me if I could pay him. So Paddy Pimblett was asking people to pay him for doing an interview. Usually you have those things like the person doing the interview says, hey, I'll pay you this much. Usually you don't see the person getting interviewed asking for money, which I get. Either way, you know, if you're Paddy Pimblett, you're trying to hustle and your time isn't free. So I kind of get why he would ask. But a big thing that he said is that he didn't ask for money from Ariel Helwani. And True Geordie said, dude, you even asked for money from me. So you're obviously lying here. So when the whole story comes together like that, that's where I think it's more than just he said, she said. If you have True Geordie, a completely different third party that wasn't really in this back and forth beef with Ariel and Paddy, come out and actually speak on behalf of Ariel Helwani, when I know Ariel and True Geordie don't have the best relationship, I think that's pretty surprising. And True Geordie was kind of taking the side of Ariel Helwani, like, yeah, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly how you feel. This dude is speaking out of line a little bit. I think it also goes to tie into in the pre-press conference interviews that Paddy Pimblett was doing, even the whole entire UFC 282 press conference with everybody. You see Paddy Pimblett bring up the whole story out of nowhere when it came to him training at Jared Gordon's gym and actually submitting him. I'm not going to be calling Paddy Pimblett a liar here. I don't know if the whole True Geordie stuff was true. It looks like it because I don't see why True Geordie would come out and put himself in that beef unless he just wants the views. My whole thing with that story was, one, it came out of nowhere. I didn't hear about it until the press conference. It might have been talked a little bit behind the scenes or on an interview that I didn't see. But in the press conference, it felt like it came out of nowhere. And Jared Gordon literally broke everything down in the press conference and talked about it to him face to face. And then I thought Paddy Pimblett kind of was going with yeah, I'm just saying stuff to say it because it's leading up to the fight and I'm trying to get, you know, views. I forget who asked him that question, but he basically said, are you telling the truth right now, Paddy, or are you just blowing smoke up everyone's ass just to kind of build some hype for the fight? And he just smiled really big. Now, I'm not saying that I was the biggest Paddy Pimblett fan. I definitely was a fan of him. I'm definitely going to be a fan of someone that is up and coming in the UFC. But really, after this past weekend, I definitely, number one, don't have as much respect for Paddy Pimblett when it comes to just his fighting and skill. And I think that was just me kind of over exaggerating how good he was in my head. And I think another thing is he kind of just is not talking exactly like Colby Covington. You know, he's definitely not putting on the big fake persona, but I do think there is some things that he's saying that he doesn't necessarily have to say. When it comes to that whole Jared Gordon story of, you know, tapping him out at his gym, he doesn't have to say shit like that, especially if it's completely fabricated. Now, if you went to Renzo's gym and you saw Jared Gordon there and, you know, you guys met and it was nice and cordial, there's no reason you have to twist that story into something that it's not. Again, I'm not calling Paddy Pimblett a liar. I'm just saying that these are the reasons why a lot of people are starting to flip on Paddy Pimblett. I do think it was True Jordy was talking about Paddy Pimblett's manager, talking about him getting paid and asking for money. So, again, there is a lot of he said, she said with this stuff. But he said, she said behind any fighter when it comes to controversy or beef usually isn't good, especially when it looks like Ariel Helwani and True Jordy are talking facts and Paddy Pimblett and his manager seem to be blowing smoke up people's asses. Now, whether that's, you know, whether Paddy Pimblett's actually talking to his manager and telling him to do these things, I don't know. But I can tell you, Paddy Pimblett should definitely be looking for a new manager soon. I don't know how well that manager has managed him. I know Paddy Pimblett definitely has grown fast as a fighter, but is that more because of Paddy Pimblett or more because of this manager and getting him really good deals? Now, I do think he has a big future in the UFC still. I do think that he can make a name for himself. He just has to basically go back to the drawing board and make a new game plan for his fights, I think. Because whatever his plan for Jared Gordon was is not going to work against someone like Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira. All three of those guys, other than maybe Justin Gaethje, on the ground would mop the fucking floor with him. That dude would be so gassed out, he probably wouldn't even want to come back to the fucking UFC. And a big thing I didn't even mention in the other two videos is he fought a lot with his hands down. I think it's, you know, a little different when it comes to MMA when, you know, you don't want to keep your hands up here necessarily, but you do want to have them up, especially to guard things like this when it comes to kicks or just other punches. Then I heard that he does it specifically so he can get hit in the fucking face to amp him up and wake him up in the fight. But usually when people get cracked without just like a free shot, they ain't waking up. They're getting put the fuck to sleep. So I do not see why he has that game plan at all. I think he really needs to go back and change his game plan completely, whether he wants to be a safe fighter or whether he wants to be one of the best entertaining fighters in UFC. I think he wants paychecks, and paychecks equal wins. Now, he's already got the fan base. All he needs to deliver now is knockouts or submissions or something that shows that he is elevating as a fighter. This going to a decision and it being that close, in my opinion, and, you know, more or less Jared Gordon basically kind of winning the fight, I would say he really needs to go back to the drawing board because he's definitely not facing anybody in the top 15 in his next fight. That's the fucking prediction on that. If you don't like it, get the fuck out of here. I do want to touch on this a little bit before I end up the video. It's Friday right now when you guys are watching this video. Yesterday, just this past Thursday, there was a UFC Invitational 3. Gordon Ryan versus Vinny Mangales was supposed to be the main card. It ended up getting changed to Gordon Ryan versus Nicky Rodriguez or Nicky Rod. It was a great, absolutely great event. I'm a big fan of jiu-jitsu in general. I practice it outside in my everyday life. But if you guys haven't watched the UFC Jiu-Jitsu Invitationals, I do think that, you know, try them out. I think the UFC Fight Pass right now is $3 a month. It was a really entertaining event. Gordon Ryan ended up winning the main event against Nicky Rod in the end with a 20-minute grappling bout. But apparently Nicky Rod was wearing lotion or some sort of grease. I don't know if it was lotion. I don't know if it was grease. I don't know if he was wearing either one. Gordon Ryan, though, said he was definitely using something. And before the event even happened, Gordon Ryan asked one of the officials or the referees or someone that knew the rules about the UFC that was behind the scenes. He said, so are the fighters or the grapplers allowed to use grease? And the officials say, no, you're not allowed to use grease at all. And then Gordon Ryan asked, okay, what is the consequence if you do? And the officials say, oh, well, there's no consequence. So Gordon Ryan's like, okay, well, Greece is allowed then. So you just fucking lied. Because what's the whole point of not allowing it if there's no consequence? What's the whole point of not allowing steroids if you don't do anything if people use steroids? If you don't give them suspensions, if you don't ban them, you know, there's consequences and repercussions that need to happen if people get caught doing the things that they're not supposed to be doing. That's not saying that because Nicky Rod did it, Gordon Ryan did it. I don't know personally, but I know Gordon Ryan's the one that talked about it at least. And apparently that's what Nicky Rod was doing. I don't know personally, but apparently it's a thing that people do in grappling competitions just to be a little bit more slippery, because the less friction you have, the harder it is to do pull grips, which is just the thing I learned from Gordon Ryan talking about it in the interview. But if you guys have not watched any of that event or watched any grappling in general, I really do suggest that you guys just tune into a single event, you know, especially if it's just one of these UFC invitationals. Enough of sucking off the jiu-jitsu meat. We have also got Jared Cannonier versus Sean Strickland literally tomorrow. Don't forget to tune into the live. We're going to be going live at 6 or 7 o'clock. I'm not 100% sure, but it's usually an hour before the actual prelims or the main event starts. So look out for that tomorrow on Saturday. I know Sean Strickland was extremely funny in this past press conference. Probably one of the funniest press conferences I've ever watched when it comes to just a guy being himself. It wasn't a Conor McGregor-esque type of interview. It was Sean Strickland just shooting the shit with the interview guys. He was making them laugh. He was answering their questions. He was asking them questions, which you don't see a lot. And I think he just made a whole entire different type of aspect when it comes to press conferences and talking to these interview guys and having a better relationship with the media. And I think it was so fucking funny the way he went about it. And if you guys haven't watched it, or, you know, go watch one of the clips from it. It was absolutely hilarious. And if you're someone who doesn't take jokes really, definitely don't go fucking watch it. You probably don't like my videos anyway, so fuck off. But yes, tune to the watch party. Let me know in the comments below who you guys think is going to take the win. Let me know what you guys think about this whole Paddy Pimblett situation. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, like, do all those great fucking things. It really makes me appreciate you guys just a little bit more, because I already have such a good appreciation for you guys. I'm going to shut the fuck up now. So have a great fucking day.